Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Whalenerds podcast. This is episode number 41. My name is Slater, and I'm here with Eric and Katlyn.
Hey, guys.
Hi.
And we also have a guest here from Washington. Well, is that where you're from?
Oh, originally from California, but...
Okay, see, so... but
You met him in Washington.
I met him in Washington. His name is Taylor Spesak, and he's a naturalist, deckhand, and just science.
Yeah, what's up, guys?
He's a whale nerd.
I'm a whale nerd.
Oh, yeah, that's what it was.
He's a whale nerd.
I was trying to think how I'm going to, like, what is he? I was going to say he's a whale nerd. Like,
Yeah, he's a whale nerd.
the rest
He's
of
a whale
us.
nerd. That's why we have him here.
And you first maybe just tell us, like, where did you start at? Where did you first start getting on boats, I guess? It wasn't San Juan Islands.
No, it was when I was in Southern California. I think was the first professional time. But yeah, really the whale love started when I moved out to Hawaii and was working as a naturalist out there, doing whale watches with the humpbacks down there in Hawaii.
And when was that? Like, how many years ago?
2 years ago.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So you went to school in Southern California, though, right? And
Yeah.
then you moved out to Hawaii to work on island doing marine stuff, and then fell into
Wait, so
the
were you
whale
using
thing.
your degree right away with working with whales?
Not directly with whales. So I originally started when I was in undergrad at Loyola Marymount in Southern California. I was working with Heal the Bay. It's a nonprofit environmental organization working out of their aquarium.
Have you guys heard of that? You
Yeah.
guys are all
Yeah.
nodding your heads. I'm like, yeah. Yeah. What do they do?
So they're a nonprofit. They kind of have their hands in pretty much the Santa Monica watershed
Okay.
specifically. And I worked out of the aquarium, and one of the projects I ran there was Whale of a Week, focusing on the gray whale migration that you could see pretty much just from Santa Monica Pier. So
Yeah. That's actually a good place to watch gray whales. It's funny. It's from the beach, actually, is
Yeah.
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's not really whale watching around there.
well, especially, I mean, in Los Angeles.
Or I guess it's Ventura. That's not near
Closest one would be Marina Del Rey.
Marina Del Rey.
Yeah.
there. Okay. Is that where you would go out of?
No, so we would literally, the aquarium was right underneath the Santa Monica Pier, and so we would run programs for Title V schools, so inner city kids that necessarily don't have the fundings to get out to the aquarium. We had grants and funding to bring them in, and then you literally just walk up to the aquarium or to the pier, walk to the end of the pier, and if you're lucky, you see whales going by. And most days we were pretty lucky. So
Cool.
That's cool.
That's awesome.
Planned land-based whale watching. That's cool.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like the census,
Yeah, Point Vicente.
Yeah.
but even closer down to the water.
Yeah.
Not
Even closer to
400
sea
feet up.
level.
Yeah. So that's cool.
Nice.
And then, so when you went to Hawaii, where'd you work on? Did you work for a whale watch company or a nonprofit?
yeah,
Or
so I
both?
worked for both. Yeah, so I was at Pacific Whale Foundation is where I started out there. Started originally in summer months, so I was running just the standard snorkel trips and dolphin trips and stuff like that, and then going into that humpback season is when it really started for me, when I was doing it full time. Always had a passion and love for whales, but
And there's probably nothing like starting out in a breeding ground when they're just flipper flopping and reaching and
it was
I don't
pretty
know.
easy.
Heat
Pretty easy to
runs and
fall
stuff.
in love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll let you know because starting out in Monterey Bay was pretty freaking awesome too.
I know.
yeah. That's the thing is, if you start out like, dude, so the first time I came here, which was in, I think it was in like the fall or something of,
Yeah, it was the fall.
and like 4 years ago or whatever it was, and literally it's like 16 humpback whales. I've told the story on here, like but literally there was groups of 12 lunch feeding. I'm
Yeah,
not
it
even
was-
kidding.
it was
12 at
awesome.
once. Like
I had a
looks like
30 whale
mountains-
heat run.
Like mountains, yeah.
That's pretty cool.
So that's what I'm saying. So it's different though. It's like feeding. That's breeding. They're
Totally.
swimming. So
And then
it's like,
remember when I moved here, I had like Emma porpoising out of the water in like 4 days
Yeah.
in a row.
And then I
for
had,
predation.
I had a white side hunt.
Yes.
Humpbacks breaching.
Welcome
This is the
to
first time I've seen a
Monterey.
humpback.
Yeah.
We're all having a conversation.
So, okay, so you did the PWF thing for a while, and then Slater met you up in San Juan. So how did that go?
Yeah, so
I'll tell you how it went. That's literally one of the best trips I've ever been on the water. That was insane.
it was absolutely insane. But I moved up there just not wanting to do another summer, doing another like dive
Yeah.
season or anything like
Yeah.
that. So wanted to, because I'd fallen completely in love with the whales and wanted to do that. So found a couple places, looked into Alaska, looked into Monterey, looked into San Juan Islands, and San Juan Islands in the Pacific Northwest just stood out to me. So went up there, and then that's where I met Slater.
That wasn't your first year there, was it?
Yeah, it was.
Oh, shoot.
And you were on my last day of my first season out there.
2 trips in a row. 2 years in a row.
And this year, my last day.
Dude, and I'm so glad that it was your last day of the season because it was his last day. the owner Jeff and Sarah were like, let's go. I went on their morning whale watch, right? And then we came in to drop the people off, and there was no more.
Oh, you just kept on
the
going?
residents were like right out in front, and it was like just the nicest day ever. And he was like, let's go. Like they were like, let's go again. So we literally grabbed a bunch of snacks and just went back out on the water.
That's cool.
Stuck the hydrophone in the water.
It's one of the most magical
Yeah,
nights
it was
ever.
literally like insane.
Just like flat, calm water, sunset lighting, just beautiful orange.
Dozens
golden,
of
purple.
killer whales going back and forth.
Yeah.
And like
Southern
we were
residents.
just parked in
Nice.
one spot.
Nice.
And then a humpback went by too.
Engine shut down, hydro
Yeah.
going. It was
It
definitely
was so
one of the best
cool.
trips.
We
I've
didn't
ever
have to do anything. Like we were a half mile away from him anyways. So we were just like parked out off Limekiln, just watching.
Oh, nice.
Like, and then
Sweet.
listening.
Perfect.
So yeah, for your last trip of the season, it's like was hooked on going back.
So you just applied up at Maya's, and then they took you on for 2 seasons.
Yeah, I sent
Cool.
a resume to Sarah. So I found them, did the research, found them, sent the resume to Sarah, and literally 36 hours later, I was interviewing, and within 48 hours, I was hired.
Oh,
Wow.
cool.
Yeah, I was
That's awesome.
super lucky. They were looking for naturalists. It just
Yeah.
worked out. Stars aligned, and I fell in love and was back
Nice.
up there again this season.
Nice. And then you're headed back to Hawaii.
Yeah, I'm going back to Hawaii. I leave
Yeah.
the 28th. I move
Okay.
back to the island.
Sweet.
Super stoked to be back in breeding grounds for the humpbacks for sure.
Yeah.
And then back to Maya's again afterwards?
That's what I'm hoping for.
That's so awesome.
And you're doing small boat stuff this time, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Small boats and helping on a couple projects. Nothing is, or a couple things aren't completely like perfectly lined up
Mm-hmm.
yet. So it's kind of with Hawaii, it's get to the island and figure out
Yeah,
once
yeah.
you're there. So
That's kind of the sense I'm getting as well.
yeah,
Sweet.
island time is a very real thing.
Yeah, it's kind of incredible. Like things that
They're just
like,
not in a rush there.
like
No.
housing. They're like, oh, come see it. I'm like, I'm in California. How?
yeah, yeah,
So that's been a trip. We'll see what it's like when I get out there.
yeah. But we could run the podcast from there too.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. I'll just try Taylor all the time. And
We're
be
gonna
like,
figure
yo,
it
we're
out.
both doing it.
I'm taking the podcast all the way to Australia. I'm finding new whale nerds in other
What?
countries.
Going international.
He's in bed.
Eric, you have to go with us. Eric,
Australia? Okay. I don't mind. Australia's cool.
We'll steal Lisa.
Yeah. We got Lisa over there and Jody.
So, what is like? Aren't you working with a humpback thing too in San Juan Islands, like a research?
Yeah,
Or I guess
so-
are you working with Cascadia? Is that who it is?
No, so not with Cascadia up there. I was working with Kita Coastal Conservation.
Okay.
Was the research group I was working with up there, working on just pretty much identifying animals. It's such a new population up there. It's pretty much decade old, so just trying to get photo identifications. We had 9 new calves this year, so that was
cool.
cool to be on the water. And I mean, as all you guys know, and it's just research, you only get funding for like 10 days or 13
Right.
days on
Oh,
the
wow.
water, so it's impossible to cover all of the areas. So utilizing naturalists with cameras, taking those pictures and submitting it to a shared database really helps with the research. So
Yeah.
And are they submitting that one to Happy Whale?
they work with Happy Whale, but they're kind of working with DFO as well to get a catalog updated.
Yeah, yours is nice, but you don't have a lot of whales, which is why it's nice.
Yeah, so
Can you imagine we had a little
Manageable.
manageable. Yeah.
It's so nice, you guys, because I pull up the app, I'm like IDing whales, and it looks like I'm really smart. People are like, "Whoa, how'd you do that?" And I'm like, "Dude, they only have 300 to go through."
338 whales. Yeah.
And they're categorized, like the what is
Category 1 through 5
Yeah.
for the coloration.
So up there, it's X, Y, and Z.
Oh,
so
okay.
it's X is mostly black, Y is that like 50% or so
Yeah.
white, and then Z is going to be all white
Oh,
folks.
okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So it's a little bit easier until you get into those like, okay, this is like 40%
This is
white.
like
Is
a
that
little
an
bit
X or
above, yeah.
a Y?
25.
So, yeah,
that? Do you know
exactly.
it the other way too?
In what sense?
Like category 1.
Yeah, so like the 0 through 5 or
You know
whatever.
that,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. That's what we use out in Hawaii.
Okay, sweet.
Yeah.
Did you do any IDing in Hawaii?
I helped with Pacific Whale Foundation a little bit, yeah. And all naturalists on the board on boats out there are working on identifying if you see any species at all, odontoceid or mystoceid, so toothed whale or not, you mark that and log that and share that with research.
Awesome.
Sweet.
Cool.
That's good to know.
So, have you matched any of your whales to a breeding ground from up there? Are they Hawaiian whales?
I have. I've had 3 successful matches that I've had in both areas.
From San Juan Islands
Yeah.
to Hawaii
Yeah.
of your own matches?
Yeah.
That's so cool.
That's cool. Because
The
I never
first
get
one-
both. You know what I mean? You either get the breeding ground and someone else matches it
Yeah.
in the feeding ground, or
But to do it
vice
yourself
versa.
is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
That's
That's
cool.
cool, dude.
The first one was just super lucky because it's like I looked at it and it was one of those ones that just like totally stood out. It was really, really obvious. And I was like, I know this whale. Went back.
Do you know who
through
it is?
Off the top of my head, I don't remember exactly
do
which
you
one
know
it
the
was.
name? Because like Caspian's like your main.
Yeah, I love Caspian.
Yeah, I remember you guys talking about it.
So you guys up in the San Juans have like your own little kind of regional catalogs that you share amongst your own like boat crews and stuff. Is that right?
Yeah. So the catalog that just came out in 2019 for humpback specifically was put out by Center for Whale Research, collaborated on it with DFO is where
cool.
that stuff comes through. But yeah, just because Vancouver, there's a lot of times the San Juan boats don't go all the way up north, but the Vancouver boats can't come all the way south.
Right.
So sometimes they see humpbacks that we don't get to that day. So it's a big shared collab for sure.
That's
you guys,
cool.
There was so many in the Strait of Juan de Fuca when I was there.
Yeah, that was nuts. I never saw that last year. That was a new thing this year.
And so when I got back, I told Kate that, and she keeps she texted me 2 times over this now. I told her that I was like, all of our whales must be there because it was a slower season in Monterey, kind of.
Yeah.
I guess the numbers they said
A lot
they
of
looked
them
at
are
it.
in Half Moon Bay, I think.
Yeah, they're just more spread out, I think, in the bay. And they weren't as concentrated. So I was like, all our whales must be up there because there's so many of them when I was on my trip.
Where's your fluke photos?
And so when I put all the fluke photos, she's like, not one of those are our whales, Slater.
Even more.
And I was like, I meant like in the same population, not like there are some Monterey.
Even Morro Bay, just south of us, had a pretty good season, or unless they're
Yeah.
just posting more, but they seem to have
No,
some
it
really
sounded
good
like
feeding
they
groups.
they had good feeding groups with sea lions off and on all season. But like Half Moon Bay's been consistently seeing like 25 whales on a seabird trip every time they go out for the last few months. And then I'm sure up north by like Bodega Bay, like Cordell Bank and stuff has been good because the water looks really cold up there.
And we got our San Francisco Bay whales too.
Yeah.
We got a handful that always seem to be in there.
in like Eureka or whatever it is.
Yeah, they do go up that far north too. I haven't seen any reports out of there, but I haven't really been looking. But I know at least up to Cordell Bank and maybe up to Bodega Bay.
Yeah, definitely up to Cordell. Yeah.
All right, so that was one of the favorite speeches that you've given on the boat is about the humpback Big Mama.
I love Big Mama. Big Mama's a Hawaiian whale.
Okay, can you tell them the story so that because I feel like I've tried to tell them about it. I'm like,
yeah, we'd rather hear it from you.
yeah, because I feel like I'm probably like exaggerating some of it or something or she's the whale.
Yeah, well, she's the whale that pretty much everybody claims to be the one to like show the ropes to all the whales back. So whales weren't seen in the inland waters for 150 years or something like that, or some of the numbers that I've heard. And then in 1998, there was the first documented humpback whale back in inland waters, and then wasn't seen again until 2001 when they finally got ID shots and fluke shots on it. And now that was known to be Big Mama, and she had a calf with her that year. So in 2001, Big Mama came back with a calf and has been seen just about every year in the inland waters since. And so she's the one that we kind of credit to spreading the word, whether it's in migration or where it is, like, yo, this restaurant's real good. Come in here. Half the distance to Alaska.
There's a lot. Even since my first year, there was like double what was there last year, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, I could tell you that last year I personally identified right about like 60 whales, and this year I was over 110.
Oh,
Wow.
Cool.
Yeah.
See? I mean, last year we saw like 2. This time we had like 2 every quarter mile from us. It was like crazy.
How old is Big Mama, do you think? Is there any guesstimates?
I think the estimate for Big Mama is right around 40. I know she's brought back 7 calves.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That's what was the cool thing.
And the calves, have you guys been able to see if the calves are coming back?
Yeah, so one of her calves, Pop-Tart, is what that.
Do you guys name everything after food up there?
Apparently, right? It seems to be
Cappuccino, Oreo, Blackberry.
double stuff.
Double stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, we like
someone
our
is
food up
hungry
there.
in the cow.
I know. Someone's hungry up there.
So Pop-Tart got her name because super active calf. It was just reaching nonstop. So they went with Pop-Tart.
That's cute.
And I didn't see Pop-Tart at all last year and saw Pop-Tart this year. So, and I
cool.
know based on, we have the super collaborative network. They just saw Pop-Tart a few days
That's
ago.
good.
Oh, cool.
Kind of proves that thing we
cool.
sometimes bring up, that the moms probably show the calves the exact migration routes and feeding ground preferences.
Yeah.
Because it's sometimes it's there and it's like give birth, go to the feeding ground, spend the whole feeding ground and back, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's almost 2 years. It's almost I guess it's 1 year exactly. But
Yeah.
but sometimes they'll stay and then they ditch them.
Yeah, the little ones kind of stick around the same general, like they think they stick around the
Like
same
here, yeah.
region, like for a few years because they don't migrate, so they kind of just wander
Why spend the
around.
energy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so am I right that I've heard that I heard it last time I was there in Maui that they literally will like just ditch, like they'll just go on a dive and ditch the calf. Do you know if that's true?
Catastrophic
Like,
losing
I
like a sea
personally
otter.
never heard that or seen any papers.
Hide
but
from your child.
Yeah.
That's so sad.
Yeah.
well, like I was in
Otters
Yellowstone.
do
Bet I
that.
could dive deeper than you.
Yeah, right.
Otters do it.
I was in Yellowstone watching a mom and cub bear, right? And the next day, the cub was sitting by itself, and the mom was with the male, like way down the road.
Yeah.
And they said that was the day it split.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. It has to happen eventually, right? So,
Yeah.
I feel like whales maybe have a little bit of an ease out transition, you know, like
Just ditch the baby.
They're like,
okay,
okay,
I'm headed
100
south.
feet,
You stay where
200
the food
feet.
is. Bye.
Mom's like, I hope this
They're like-
calf won't be there when I get there.
No,
But we definitely see the yearlings down in Hawaii too.
Yeah.
So they definitely, some of them will make that migration.
And
back,
on the
so
East
it's-
Coast,
right
like,
away.
Really?
Yeah.
Year-old calves will make
Yeah.
the migration back.
Wow.
Yeah. And then, because I've seen separations happen down in Hawaii before over a couple days where it's like you'll see mom calf, identify them, and then the next day you'll see just calf, or a couple days later you'll see just the calf.
That's what I was going to
Oh,
ask.
wow.
Have you seen
For
that?
a yearling.
Yeah, for a yearling.
I've always
Interesting.
wanted to see that. Yeah, like note that out here, but
Yeah.
haven't been able to.
Yeah, I can't
Well,
remember if I have or not. I
The
don't
incident
think so.
where the boat hit the whale,
Mm-hmm.
that 2 months later, we saw the mom and calf together.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I saw that calf a few times.
It's just
in
kind
the
of cool to
fall.
see it. You know, I feel like every year you see these calves, but you don't ever see them again.
Well, Jazz and Lumpy, they think Lumpy's this is its second summer.
Really?
Yeah.
But I think
pretty
there's
sure.
a calf that's here for a second summer.
And they're like, well, it was kind of like
Mama's
whale.
underweight and had some weird like deformities on the tail
Yeah,
stalk,
the-
so
the
maybe she
bumpiness.
stayed with it an extra year. But
That'd be super interesting.
yeah,
yeah.
I don't know. On the East Coast, where they have really high site fidelity there, and it's a very old population of whales, like at Stellwagen Bank and Jeffrey's Ledge, they will see calves that are like 3 or 4 years old meet up with mom with her new calf.
Oh, how weird.
So I think some of this we're going to have to learn over time for the California whales and inland waters of the Salish Sea,
Totally.
because we're watching whales rediscover habitat they used to use.
Totally.
That's the big thing about up in the San Juan Islands. Like, they're literally rediscovering it in front of your eyes.
Yeah.
Because in Monterey, they said, like, everywhere you ask in California, it's like 10 years ago, we didn't see humpbacks. Or,
Taylor,
Right.
not really
do you know
Monterey, but-
before Big Mama, were there humpbacks always in there? Or
Historically, yeah.
Uh-huh.
So, like, I have found papers of like 1400s of like sailors and traders saying
Okay.
that there used to be so many humpbacks you could walk across the backs of them.
Kind of like they
just
say
so,
about Monterey.
That's what they
so
say about here.
dense.
Yeah.
It's the same guy. He's just writing up
Yeah.
full,
He's like, Southeast Alaska, you could walk across the backs of the
anywhere there was whales.
Yeah.
Costa
It was
Rica,
probably,
you
it was
could walk
probably
across
just
the
all
blue
the
whales.
rocks out
Did he
there.
also say you could walk across the backs of the sea lions all the way across the bay or anything? 'Cause
Well,
that's definitely what they used to say here.
I saw that old whaling map up in San Francisco at the National Park Museum.
Yeah.
And they have a map of, our Eastern Pacific, and they have a stamp of each sperm whale, right whale they killed, and it's literally completely covered, and
Mm-hmm.
we would like,
Sperm whales, we wish we
yeah,
could see one.
sperm
dude,
and
a
right
year.
whales everywhere. Now we're like praying just to get a glimpse of one
In
of
San
them.
Francisco,
Yeah.
right whales?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Well, that's just, a testament
Are
to
we
just
ever
the
gonna see
massive
one?
level of extraction. I've seen a sperm whale in Monterey Bay.
But have you seen a right? The sperm whale, I'm
No.
not so like worried about, but the right whale,
Well, they think there's only 30 left in
Yeah.
the North Pacific
Yeah.
population.
bro.
Yeah.
If I saw one, I'd
you
cry.
think seeing offshore killer whales is hard?
Yeah, no, seeing a right whale, I would collapse on the
Yeah.
deck after I verified it.
I think I'd hug it. I'd go out with a bang. I'd hug it. What?
You'd make the
Jump
news.
in, bring it.
Do you guys know the story about the last confirmed sighting of a right whale? It was really funny.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say.
Oh, in La
Alaskan
Jolla.
Yeah.
I know, that was insane. That was only a couple years ago.
So it was in La Jolla. This
Yeah.
right whale's playing in the surf. So people are like, I'm actually assuming because over there it was like literally right next to Scripps, and people are like, oh, cool, a gray whale. Then they put it on the news, and then some people look closer, watching the news, going,
Very square peck fins.
yeah, they saw. You can see the
I
cosicities
want
as
to
it
find the
turns.
video because I
Yeah.
haven't seen it, but
That's
I remember it
crazy. Oh,
happening.
yeah.
When was
Yeah.
this?
Like 3
years,
seasons
like,
ago?
right before I moved. It was like 3
Yeah,
years.
maybe about
3 winters
less
ago?
than 5 years, maybe.
And it's
Yeah,
like it's like
3
La
years.
Jolla, right?
It was in La Jolla.
It's like,
yeah,
It's like people are standing next to sea lions filming, like what I
Yeah.
mean?
People are
Those
standing
Standing on
the
the
beach.
Scripps bluffs.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
had no idea.
they showed it on the
insane.
news, and then finally, everyone like the people who in the know were like, "Wait, something's not right."
That same winter, someone on a sailboat out off Catalina saw a right
Yes.
whale, and they had really good photos
And
of it.
before that, someone on a small private plane also spotted one too. So
Could've
it might
been
be
the
the
same
same whale.
whale.
You know
Yeah.
who will find one? There's this guy. Sadly, he uses the plane to find swordfish for the boats, but
Yeah.
he sees crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Like tuna with humpbacks and like thousands of tuna with humpbacks. Like, it's cool.
Can we be this guy's friend? I want to go.
I follow him on Instagram. He's got amazing, like, and they're from a plane, like, from thousands.
And I want to say that John Hildebrand actually has hydrophones.
Yes.
Backside of San Clemente.
Yes, he does.
Picks up right whales every now and then.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
That's how annoying is that, dude? That's worse than That's worse than like being close. Like,
Yeah.
you're hearing them. You're like, where are you? Like,
Yeah.
I recently went up to northern Vancouver Island, like Johnstone Strait, like way up out of Port McNeill, and we're sitting there, and it was a windy day, so we knew it was going to be a tough day anyways, and we're sitting on the boat, and we're just outside Orca Labs in their hydrophones, and the captain is tuning into Orca Lab hydrophones. You hear Northern Resident vocalizing and echolocating, and we're looking off like a kilometer away or so in 6-foot waves, and you just see exhalations.
That's so cool.
So you know the residents are there, but we can't get closer because the seas
you
were
almost
so
saw
bad.
other residents?
I saw them, but it was just in huge waves
saw
and
them
huge
close.
seas. That's the
No
thing. We
way.
couldn't get closer
This
because
right
it was,
now?
when I was just there a month
Like
ago. Yeah.
Oh, how
Damn,
cool.
Right,
That's
the,
like
the
the-
day after you left my trip.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
your-
like the first time I saw sperm
Yeah.
whales. It was
Yeah.
like we saw the sideways blows, and it was like 8 or 9 whales, but like we were on transect and couldn't stop.
Is
And I was
there
like,
distance regulations with northern residents?
So it's the same,
Same,
200,
okay.
yeah, 200 meters
Okay.
or whatever.
So it's like
it is.
transients.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So it was just, and we wanted to get closer, but it was like I said, 6-foot seas, and it's just like, oh, I want to get closer. I know the residents are there, but
Bro.
So neat.
yeah,
The Northern Resident video with the white-sided dolphins. Oh my gosh, it's incredible.
Oh, that's from a couple years ago, right?
Is it from a drone? Is it like a research drone, or is it from like a cliff, or what is that?
I don't know. I
Have you
mean,
seen it?
I if it's the same one I'm thinking of,
It's
I
like
have.
clear water or something, right? It's like nice
They
water.
do go past those cliffs pretty easily, and so if you could get to those cliffs, it's not the easiest, but
It might have been a research drone or something.
Maybe.
Who
Yeah.
knows? But man,
Pretty cool.
It's literally
Could
a
have been
Pacific
someone's seaplane.
No, this is like, I don't know, maybe. But it's Pacific white-sided dolphins like bow riding the
Yeah,
orcas.
yeah, I've seen it. It's
So
a cool
cool.
video, for sure.
And I bet you the southern residents have seen whitesides tons of times.
Oh yeah, why
yeah,
not?
yeah, the only time I've seen Pacific white-sided dolphins, the residents were on the
Can
west
you
side
guys
of San
effing
Juan.
imagine seeing black like
We
just-
left southern residents to go see Pacific white-sided.
Don't forget when El Pod came here, they probably had a few around
Yeah,
them
you
too.
guys,
Oh, I'm
Yeah,
sure.
you guys think we're like bad because we leave humpbacks or like we skip past humpbacks or whatever. These guys leave killer whales to go look at freaking like
Critically endangered.
Yeah.
common dolphins.
Well, it's like when that night Slater's talking about where there was lunch feeding humpbacks. We left to go look at common dolphins, and he was about to flip a lid.
Yes, us Southern Californians like, why?
No, it was a day trip, and they were like, "Oh, well, there could be a blue whale, but there is common, so we're going." And she drove like miles, and I was like, "Bro, like for common dolphins, she was like going like on a 14-mile trek." I'm like, "Okay, we had lunch feeding humpbacks, breaching humpbacks, like the whole
Like
shebang."
when I came down here to see lunch feeding humpbacks, we went to
We
killer
left
whales
killer
traveling
whales.
away
No!
from us at 9 knots
in the wind.
in the wind.
Well, that same thing happened when we went 5 years ago on the ACS trip out of Dana Point. We had like minke whales and fin whales, and they're like, we found a humpback, and all the Monterey
Yeah.
people are like, I'm gonna go sit down.
Yeah. Well, when they brought the blackfin down, when Richard did the dial-in cruise,
Oh, yeah.
all of us Southern Californians, Richard was laughing at us because we go look at a blue whale. It's Hook. He's like, you
Yeah.
guys just drove 6 hours to see a whale from home.
Dude, there's a blue whale that I've seen in Newport Beach and seen here in Monterey, and it's like I forget about that, but
Yeah,
it's cool.
It's
Yeah.
pretty
Really
awesome to know
cool.
that.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it's just like seeing those whales here. They saw it. I didn't get to see them though. Was I think it's the 37s A's or whatever. They were down here. They had that new calf. And then,
37 A's, yeah.
I think it was
Yeah,
them that was
the
down here.
transients that came all the way
And then
down here.
a month and a day. It was like something like that. They're up there.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and I
Things
saw
like that, I think, really get people more attached to the animals. You
Totally.
know?
Yeah.
That's
I
why I
mean,
love
'cause-
telling people that.
As a naturalist,
2
you
states
say,
over.
you say all the time, like, oh, they could travel 50 to 100 miles in a
Yeah.
single day, but to hear, like, oh, they went from Monterey to San Juan Islands in, like, 10 days, and
Yeah.
it was the fastest they've seen it, it's just like, yeah, that's traveling 100 miles a day.
That's
That's
what
10
I'm
days
saying.
straight through.
They
Like,
were on a
it's
mission.
crazy.
And the first time I saw the southern residents, I think you told me on the trip, you're like, they could be here the night before. Gary had like texted one of them, Gary J27, if you guys follow him on Instagram. He works in Canada, and he was like, they're 100 miles away from you right now. They'll be there in the morning. Sure enough, they were in front of Lime Kiln in the morning.
Yeah.
And it's like, he called it. He's like, if they travel right now straight all the way to you guys, they're going to be there perfectly in the morning. And it was like boom, right on.
Yeah.
We got there and we got out and they did their whole. It was a full parade thing that you guys were like the trailers and the leaders. That was when they were telling me this. I'm like, what do you guys mean? Like it was like some crazy like just it wasn't like normal whale watching, like because all the boats stop because you have to be a certain distance and stuff, and then they all just kind of pass by you.
Wait,
so
explain
cool.
it though, Taylor. Give us the rundown of what that means.
Well, you're talking about how.
Well, because we were at South Beach, right, and
Yeah.
we stopped way out, and there's also a lot of whale watch boats, so we all like just picked a spot, and then they all went past us.
Yeah.
So it's called the San Juan Shuffle, is what we call it up there with the southern resident killer whales. They're foraging on the salmon that are following the same path and the currents that go up and down San Juan. So when we get information that there are inbound killer whales, the southern residents are inbound from Strait of Juan de Fuca, 9 out of 10 times they're going to come in, hit the southern side of San Juan Island, and then travel up north. But they don't do it all of them grouped up in one group. They'll be spread out over miles. So we'll get one whale here, 3 there, 4 there, and they break up into what we call leaders and trailers.
That's
so
cool.
you could start with the leaders and turn your motors off, and the leaders are going to pass you, and then the trailers are going to just follow up, bringing up the rear as they travel
so neat.
north.
It's like you're like
salmon.
1, 2, 3, 4, 25, 30. You know what I mean? It's like, and they just keep going, and you're like, dude, when are they gonna stop? And then you hear on the radio, oh, actually, there's more of them coming, and they're just around the corner. It's like, no way.
That's awesome.
And it's magical because it's those moments where you just turn the motors off and you just sit there and it's quiet and you're listening.
Yeah, and plus you're already at the distance. You know, like you're past 200 yards, past 300 yards. Like you're far, so it's like you just kind of watch them, and then and then Onyx comes out and breaches behind you, or J20 or Blackberry comes over and just goes right past. You know what I mean? Like you never know what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
They chase a salmon, you know, and then it ends up being by you or something.
That's interesting because they are chasing a more predictable fish that's like more like has a set pattern of how it moves and forages itself through the currents. Then you can kind of predict how the whale's gonna do it.
Totally.
Yeah, that's neat.
I think that's what made San Juan Island so popular in the first place.
Yeah, totally.
Historically, it was a little more predictable.
Yeah.
So I heard from Hatchos up north about another neat thing that residents do, like the greeting party where they all kind of come head to head. Have you ever been
I've never
experienced
personally seen it, but I mean, talking to like Sarah, who you guys
yeah, what
know,
happens in one of those?
Again, never personally seen it, but I know like some of the greeting parties, like if J's are already in and then K's or L's are coming up, they'll go out and meet halfway. And
Could you imagine? You guys?
That's so
And
neat.
they all just start like breaching and stuff, or what?
I just want to sit
Wow.
like on a raft, dude, and just like in the middle and just watch them
Just
go head
watch
on
them.
each other and just like breach.
Is that when they call it the super pod when they all come together?
when all
they all come
three
together.
pods, all 73 of them would
You've
be
seen
together.
that?
I have seen Super Pod a couple of times.
Whew,
No,
you guys
I
imagine
never
70 orcas?
That's crazy.
It's magical and it's social hour. So
I mean, I've seen like 40, but 70 would be something else.
Well,
Yeah.
offshores.
No, transients. I've seen like
Oh, really?
that really big season we had. We'd have like 40 to 45 whales together.
Yeah, I've been.
incredible.
And they
Even-
were very,
Oh, can you imagine?
mating,
3 years ago,
breaching,
yeah, we would have like
playing.
30.
are
Yeah.
crazy.
I love their
But
little
the
parties.
residents are spy hopping.
Yeah,
like,
the residents are
That's
very
a-
spy hoppy. And
The socializing
yeah.
in those like meetups are crazy just because they come together. Usually it's like drop foraging and then start porpoising in one direction, and then you're like, where are you going and why? And then sure enough, you just start see them going off in the distance.
And then
It's like,
transients usually, let's kill something, then party.
Yeah, yeah. When I saw 40 transients, I was like, yay, there's a dead gray
Is that
whale.
just
Let's
all
have a
transients
party.
too? It's like they all celebrate right after they kill something, unless they're like on a
killed
move.
it.
Unless it's like the last two we had, 77A and 49, or what was it?
49, yeah, A3.
Yeah, like they just ate and left. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like
If there's babies around, especially, I feel like they're like very celebratory after a hunt.
Yeah.
the more whales there are in the pod, the more like they celebrate. I feel like too.
But the 51s are very good about at least a couple post-hunt breaches. Like, even though Comet's like pretty old,
Porpoising coming out after
Yeah,
something, yeah.
like,
Bumpers done
they're
that.
almost always good for at least one breach. After
Even
a hunt.
Tiny Comet's been.
She's fun. She's funny.
She
when
moves.
She
There's
breaches.
been a lot of killer whale sightings here the last like week or so.
Yeah,
2
we had a
weeks.
few around. Yeah,
That's awesome.
couple different family groups.
I saw
Tuesday,
two
right?
new
Tuesday?
killer whales I've never seen.
Yeah, it was all three of us. Yeah,
Oh yeah,
Tuesday.
we all did. I've never seen those whales.
CA 10 and 21.
No, 21
No,
and 169.
169 and 21.
21.
Were
And
the
then
first
you saw
two.
CA10 a couple days
That's
before
what it
that.
Yeah, CA10. And then
Yeah.
the second pod we saw that day was
51.
You knew all of them,
and
yeah.
50B
And 49.
and 49C.
you gave the whole boat like a family tree and life history of those pod. You
Oh
did a
yeah,
good
I
job.
spent a lot of time with those whales.
Dude.
People are like, "Whoa, I feel like I know him."
So
Yeah, I spent a lot of time with them.
let's
That's
talk
the
about
amazing
that
thing
day.
of being a naturalist, though.
yeah, exactly.
So that morning, Kate, the owner of Blue Ocean, texted me and was like, "Hey, Caitlin's gonna naturalize for me because I don't have anyone today." And on top of that, she texted me and said that she got a killer whale sighting or report
Oh yeah,
out
I
in
had
front
a
of
report.
Moss.
Yeah.
And I didn't even text her back. I just called her and said, "Can you pick me up?" So and she's like, "You can come." And I was like, "No, can you pick me up?" And she's like, "Yeah, okay." So she gave me a ride, and and she called Eric and told Eric as well. So all three of us got to get on. We've all three been on the boat maybe 3 times.
I was supposed to be
added it
working,
up.
but I gave away my shift, and it worked out.
Yeah, I was like, all of a sudden I realized Eric was there, and I was like, wait, what?
Who's working?
So he got or added on or something at Discovery, so he didn't get to work. And then or he gave it
because
away
we needed
or
a boat,
something.
and then we didn't need a
Yeah. Pete took the shift. Yeah.
So, anyways, all three of us got out there. We're looking around. I think we stopped for 2 humpbacks right off the bat, and then they were getting far. So we actually had a boat report 2 killer whales, but the boat that originally they reported 6, which we later saw at the end of the trip. Well, so we found 2 killer whales that were with other people, and it was those 2 that we just saw, the 169 and 21 CA. And then what?
Then we left those, and that's when that crazy humpback thing.
So then we went freaking cruising, found a couple whales here and there. Did we see some sporadic lunch feeding too?
We thought we did, so we were kind of trying to pick our groups of humpbacks because there was lots of pairs around.
Oh, you know what? Someone called us in, and we were headed to whales, but they had stopped lunging, I think was what it was.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. That might have been my all-day trip.
No, Eric thought he saw a lunch feeding whale, and then we were ragging on him because it wasn't lunch feeding anymore when we got there.
What?
But then we stopped.
What? Did I do that?
And then we stopped, and it was Fran and a friend, and we were like,
Fran's
"Oh, okay,
our,
we'll watch Fran."
The first name I ever knew here, really, it was in the Bay, was Fran. This is like a well-known humpback here for the last 9 years now?
Something like that. She was brought by her mom to Monterey, and then she has very high sight fidelity. She's even found within like one specific zone of Monterey. She's not like, we saw her down by Point Pinos a couple times this season, and I was like, "Are you lost?"
Yeah, usually she's like in Marina area.
Yeah, she's almost always from Marina to Moss Landing.
That was her original name, in fact.
Was Marina.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
they'd always see her in Marina. Yeah.
So Caitlin, you tell about
Tell
what
them
happened.
about it.
Dude,
Well, you know
my
what? First off,
perspective is
Caitlin,
skewed. I was on the
Caitlin dusted
phone.
us. She goes, "Yeah, Fran's like known as like a sleepy
she's a
whale."
good napper.
When first off, me and Eric have seen her tail throw, breach, all sorts.
Okay,
of
but
shit.
I've
That's
mostly
always the
only-
best sentence to say, though.
She goes, "She's
Always.
a napper," and
She's
then
a good
I'm like,
napper.
you know what's gonna happen? She's gonna breach, and I said that, and then tell him what happened.
Okay. Well, I like dusted myself in the middle
she
of
was
the
on the
sighting.
phone.
I was on the phone.
You guys, you
Trying
have
to
to
get
talk
in a
about
place to live.
You have to talk
Okay.
about the pre-breach.
Yeah.
breaches.
So what happened was,
Yeah, that's what I'm telling her. The ones at 11 o'clock and 1.
yeah. So we were watching Fran and her little friend, and I like got on the PA and was like, "Fran's a good napper. Like, I see her sleep right next to the boat. She's a really chill whale. She's really cool." And I said, if she's not napping, she does sometimes do crazy stuff, but she's usually pretty mellow. So then I get a phone call from an apartment in Kihei, and I'm like, I have to take this. So then these whales start breaching out like a mile and a half from the boat, like south of us. And I pick up the phone, and I'm talking to the guy, and I like have the microphone and my camera like all totally away from me.
You're screaming.
And then these other whales outside of us breach.
At 1 o'clock, they were.
And then
breaching.
everybody on the top deck's like, "Oh my God, I think these whales are going to breach." And I said on the phone, "I think these whales are about to go nuts. It's going to get really loud."
So what we were hoping for was we're hoping for a returning call or like something
response
like that.
breach,
Response. And then we all see a big, you know how they just throw a big arch, no
straight
flip,
up and down.
And I was like, we were just like, she's gonna break. Actually, we didn't even know, and there was a double, and we're like,
Everybody freaked out.
F words were said. I think some S
Everybody
words.
was screaming. And so then the crowd goes wild, right? I'm still on the phone, and I'm like, he's like, "Do you want to call me back?" I was like, "Yeah, give me 20 minutes for these whales to calm down. Calm down. I'll call you back."
Dude, and it kept going though, and it was like it started like a whole thing, and then
Another boat behind us said their whale
they
breached
called
too.
it in. They called us in. They're like, "Oh, our whale just breached," and we're like, "So did ours." And then in the back of our photos, the whales at 1 o'clock, a mile away or whatever, you can see them breaching. In our double breach, there's other whales in the air.
Yeah.
I showed you today.
Yeah,
So,
it was crazy.
So then, right after they all breached for the first time or two. Another captain says, there was an earthquake in Santa Cruz just now.
Someone on the boat, actually, the deckhand, Dina, even said, like, oh, I wonder if there was an earthquake. She actually called. She literally was like, I wonder
Did
if
she really? I didn't hear.
Oh, 100%.
Oh, wow.
Crazy.
100%. She goes, I wonder if there was an earthquake. And sure enough, someone said it on the radio, and I literally typed in EAR on my phone, and it goes, earthquake, 33 miles away. And I was like, what? Or 37 or something like that.
Yeah.
And I didn't even get the word typed in, and it said earthquake in Tuscan, California, or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Salinas.
Yeah, you called me like immediately that it happened, and we're
Yeah.
absolutely freaking out.
It was insane.
Dude, I almost hugged it. Like, we went for, like, the
We
stepbrother,
hugged.
like, the stepbrothers.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, this double breaching is not a hugging moment. It's not a high five. It's a hugging moment,
hugging
Slater.
moment.
dude,
Yeah.
it was like, and I was too zoomed in. Like, you know me, I was trying to I was getting the first shot, and then
Yeah.
I start to see it going into the frame, so I zoom out and like,
He's like, no.
I just went back.
I didn't even get any of it because I'm standing like ding dong, standing on the back, like on the phone. Like,
I always
God.
miss the double breach shots, but like people like Eric and Kate, they're things like at 300 or they're just not zoomed all the way in, and they always get that perfect
I got
shot.
lucky. I was zoomed all the way in, just getting that one whale breaching, and then
You
the
got it
corner of
pulled
my
out.
eye, my peripheral vision, because of my wide head, I was like zoomed out. Yeah, I zoomed out, and I somehow caught it. Yeah.
No, I didn't. I failed
Yeah.
so miserably.
After seeing some of those photos, you guys need to submit that for like a research note. You
Yeah,
need to make a
that's our
scientific
plan.
note of that for sure.
Yeah.
'Cause
Kate
that-
and I showed you the paper. We were starting it.
Yeah, that's our plan. So after everything calmed down, we were like matching up the timestamps and the USGS data, and I was like, well, I bet the hydrophone picked it up because Minbari has a stationary hydrophone.
So cool, dude.
So I called Minbari on our way in, but then I got interrupted because we saw freaking killer whales again, a different group, and I was
On our
like,
way in
never mind.
from the best trip ever of double breaching earthquake whales.
earthquake whales.
Then we run into 6 killer whales.
Yeah. So then after we left the killer whales, I was like, dang, anything else? Kate, I'm trying to make this phone call to Minbari and call this apartment back. So we called Minbari, and I got connected to John Ryan, who's like one of the main techs on the hydrophone. And he like processed all the data and gave us the sound file and then also the spectrogram. And it all happens in less than 2 minutes. It's like the earthquake on the south end of the bay. Those whales start breaching. Our whales and the whales to the west breach, and then the hydrophone picks it up.
He gave
That's
me the sound
absolutely
file?
insane.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
heard
he
it?
gave me the sound file.
Oh,
I forwarded it to
She
you.
tried
You
to
did?
forward it to you. Did you get it?
I don't know if I
Oh,
did.
we'll listen to
Dude,
it later.
it's like
Yeah, I
it
haven't
literally.
heard this yet.
I was gonna pull up today.
Yeah.
It literally is just like for
Yeah.
like 30 seconds.
It
It's like
kind
a
of-
low rumble.
It
like,
kind of sounds like what you think it would sound like,
yeah,
too.
like
It's
like
it just
like
sounds
rocky,
like a low roar.
like shaking underwater.
That's
Like,
crazy.
And it's a 30-second long disturbance.
they were probably all like, "What the f?" And then there was like, "Phew."
Yeah. So then
Absolutely insane.
But-
Yeah.
Because that's what, 8 whales breaching?
Seven.
So it was
Yeah,
7 whales, and
2, 2, 2, and 1.
yeah, and dude, what's crazy is like those killer whales were in the bay. There was 9 killer whales in the bay.
Yeah.
I wonder if they.
I wish someone would have been sitting with them. It's weird.
Yeah.
Us and the sanctuary out of Moss Landing were the only boats that were on the water for observation, because it was like one of those times where like everybody was going in to pick up their next load or had just left
could
with
have
their
been a
next
day,
trip
or no, it was
and they
like-
weren't there. It was 12:45 in the afternoon,
Was it on a weekday?
Tuesday.
Yeah. So it was
Yeah.
it was like no afternoon trips
day,
are really
yeah.
going out.
Like our boat, the boats I normally work on, were like, we were back at the dock already, and I was like, well, our trip was an hour later, so we were still out there.
Yeah, we leave at 10. Dude, I mean, what are the odds?
It was insane. It was so cool.
I bet
It's
there is.
crazy to hear, like, within 2 minutes
Yeah.
of everything just, like,
Yeah.
Well, it was like
lined
at
up.
first we thought those whales just breached, right? And then it was like they were like every breach except for the 3 that were at the same time, they were all within like 30 seconds of each. Some were like
Yeah.
within 10 seconds.
Yeah.
So like
That's
it was
insane.
it was all in a minute, like basically a minute. and a
Yeah,
half.
it probably was less than 2 minutes, but I want so I asked Minbari, 1, to give me the exact time the detection started, because it's not obvious on the spectrogram. And then 2, I asked if someone from like the geology side of things could explain how the sound would move across from the south end of the bay. Because I think what we saw was just this sound wave go across and the humpbacks just started popping up
Yeah.
as
And
the sound traveled.
The
Also,
sound
it was
travels a
30
lot
seconds.
faster.
It lasted
Yeah.
30 seconds. So
Yeah.
and they kept. I mean, dude, it went from like double breach, then another double breach, and then like one breach, and then one pack slapped, and then like they were like off and on, like doing like half
Yeah.
lazy.
Fran-
you know the lazy like
Yeah.
Yeah.
breaches.
Yeah.
Fran and the whale we were with kept like kept being active afterwards. But the
Yeah.
other whales, it was like breach, and then it was over.
I was so stirred up from the first initial double breach and like everything that I didn't even like shoot the rest of the freaking
The whole rest of the encounter.
Like,
Yeah.
like I did, but like I just like was talking and I was like, you don't even understand how rare this is. Like, I was just talking to people.
Start freaking out to
I was just-
he was
passengers.
upstairs, he was downstairs. He was
Yeah.
like, where's my camera?
Yeah, dude, I was all over the map. Like, because I started videotaping. I started just using my phone. Like,
Yeah.
So as soon as that's how I originally was like, dude, these are the same time because it stated that it was 14 minutes ago, and I had took a video. As soon as they landed the breach, I pulled my phone out and the video was 14 minutes ago. So like they were. That's how I figured
Pretty
it out.
much
Was
exactly,
at first
yeah.
with my cell phone.
Yeah, and then we
We all looked at our cell phones. And we're like, dang, that was
Yeah,
exactly the same
and then-
Yeah.
time.
later when Slater and I were kind of like processing the data, like the next day or the day after, we synced up like with the universal clock, his camera, so we have it like pretty precise.
Yeah, like my clock was the hour was wrong because I said daylight savings. I never changed it,
Yeah.
and then it was off like by a minute.
Yeah.
So she fixed it. That we fixed it.
Yeah,
now.
so we synced it up and like it's. Yeah,
we wrote that all
it's-
in there.
Yeah.
Once we get the confirmation of the time of the detection, we'll know how quick it was, but it's definitely less than 2 minutes.
I think
That's incredible.
It's so cool.
and the biggest evidence is like one of the biggest pieces is that the other whales in the background of the double
Yeah.
breach.
Yeah.
Like saying that that is the exact same time.
Yeah.
And no one got photos of the distant breaching whales as far as I know, just because they were so far. But
Yeah,
I said
we
on the
didn't
PA
bother.
before I picked up the phone call, I
We
said,
all saw it. Yeah.
oh,
Oh, we-
there's
yeah.
whales breaching down ahead of us if you want to test your spotting skills.
Yeah.
And then I picked up the phone.
Yeah, I just remember being upstairs and seeing one like ahead of us, and then boom, boom,
And
then R2,
It's
boom.
funny because all we were
Yeah.
hoping was
Wow.
hopefully they respond.
Yeah.
Like, and we were
Get
all
that
ready
response.
for it. I was like, everybody get your cameras up.
Yep,
I always say
exactly.
that.
It was one of the craziest things
It was
I've
cool.
ever seen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They had some listeners got to share it too.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dahlia. I was Dahlia.
Oh
How do you
yeah,
say it?
Bennett's parents were on the boat.
Yeah,
Is it Dahlia or Dahlia?
Dahlia.
Dahlia.
Okay, I don't know. Yeah, they came on. This is a prime example of go multiple days. She came
Yeah.
on my all day trip, and then she booked like 3 days after it, and she saw like good lunch feeding on the all day trip with you. You were
I
there,
say that all day trip was epic.
and then she saw
Blue whales. They wanted.
blue
and they saw
whales,
that.
Oh,
and
yeah.
they saw humpbacks again, and then they saw killer whales. On
And
the
they
last
wanted
day.
to see orca, and they
They
got
wanted,
it that day.
and that was yeah. They really wanted killer whales, and their last.
Yeah.
I think it was their last day. I think they had one more trip actually after that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they
It's the best
pretty
way
much
to do it.
saw it all because they went 4 days in a row.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, that was pretty insane. I'm so glad. So I texted Kate with the report of the killer whales because I got it from another captain, and I was like, well, I'm gonna send it to my captains and I'll send it to Kate because she's close. And then she's like, actually, I need a naturalist. And I was like, wait, what time is your trip? She's like 10. I was like, oh, perfect, because I have errands to run. So I'm so glad it all just like lined up and happened because, man, that was insane.
I would have just been sitting at home
Yeah.
all day. If you didn't text me.
I was gonna actually take a real day off, and then she's like, "You want to come on the boat because everyone else is on?" I was like, "Oh, cool, all my friends are there." I'm like, "All right."
Hard to say no to that.
I know.
That was yeah, it was just incredible. It was one of the coolest things I've ever seen.
Yeah, it was so cool that like with all the people on the boat too, like
Yeah.
like one of our listeners
And
just
all of
stuff like
us,
that.
out of all
Yeah.
chances, we like barely get to be on the boat all together.
We added up. It
Yeah.
was 3 times total. It was
Yeah.
like one all day trip.
One afternoon trip with Discovery, and
yeah,
then this
for
trip.
killer whales.
Yeah,
And this trip. So 3
Yeah.
times we've been together on a boat before.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we hang out with each other all the time. Well, we see each other all the time.
yeah.
I don't really hang out with them.
I mean, I feel like I feel like all the right people were on the boat too to like think to like document it. Like I took a picture of the plotter,
Yeah.
and then like we all looked at our timestamps, and then I called Mimbari, and like so like just everybody thinking like, oh my god, we should like get the data. It was like a good idea.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's awesome because what that could contribute, like
Yeah.
I said, just as a scientific note, I think would be so incredible.
Yeah. So
because people look back on that, they're like, I wonder if someone could be like, oh, I wonder if earthquakes affect whales, and then they have.
I mean, the
that
people
now,
have
right?
asked me that before. Like, what do whales do
Absolutely.
during storms or earthquakes and stuff? And we're like, I don't know.
especially
It's
here
an
in
important
California.
question
Yeah.
to ask.
Yeah.
I mean,
During storms, dude, they're jumping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were breachy this afternoon because it was super rough.
Was it?
Yeah.
Yes.
You went out?
Yes.
What? And you went
Do I
out?
not look sunburned? I feel sunburned.
Yeah, I was out.
Hawaii's gonna treat you well.
Oh god, I'm scared.
She's
I don't
gonna
know
come
what I'm
back,
gonna-
dude, so tan.
Because I also have like horrible reactions to sunscreen, so like I have no
Zinc-based.
idea what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
Just wear big hats.
Big
Sun
hat.
shirts, hats, and
Yeah,
sun shirts.
yeah.
That's what I do.
Yep.
I know. I need to get one of those things. What are they
The
called?
buff.
Yeah.
Cover your face.
I have to. Yeah.
I want to
do
make one, dude. I want to get like a photo printed on one or something. I want to print a photo.
Actually,
on
that'd be
everything.
That'd be
really
super cool.
Like a killer whale
Yeah.
like, reaching on her face.
With your orange sunset.
Yeah, that'd be
Oh.
That'd be a super cool one because
Well,
we
You
got
just
orange
need to
all
do
up
an
top.
apparel line already. Just
They have a lot of
get
customized
I want
ones,
one of
yeah.
those buffs now.
cool. I'm gonna make them.
Make things happen.
Adam has a shark one he's been showing off.
Does he really? I haven't been paying
I don't
attention.
think it's his own photo though.
Yeah,
He
it's
just
not
has
his own. He just bought a shark one.
What, can you order them on Zazzle or what?
I don't know, dude. But
Different
Okay,
companies
Slater
make them.
needs-
There's
that's
fishing
Slater's
companies that make
assignment.
fish ones.
What?
Yeah, mine are all fish prints.
Patagonia, you out there?
I applied for the Patagonia Pro deal because he told me like that if you're in the whale industry, if you're in like an outdoor industry, that they'll like give you a discount. They denied me, dude. I was so sad.
He's like, I have 122,000 followers on Instagram. What the hell?
No, I was like,
Yo, I have a podcast. Sponsor me.
well, no, I didn't say any of that stuff. I just said,
North Face, you listening?
dude,
Columbia, you're next.
Yeah,
You're
Columbia,
listening to me.
Marmot, listening? Columbia, you
All I
listening?
know is I can't afford their $279 puppies. So if you don't give me a discount, I can never wear.
Welcome
your
to the
product.
Whalenerds, sponsored by North Face,
Literally anyone willing to sponsor.
because Patagonia denied us.
Someone give me a damn jacket,
My sister
cold.
works for Nike. Should I speak to her about
dude.
it?
Yeah, whatever gets me a jacket, dude. But I do like the puffy. Like honestly, Patagonia's puffy material. They should sponsor us, dude. It is freaking nice. Have you worn their?
Dude, I'm moving to a freaking warm place. I don't need a puffy.
Well,
I love puffies, but I don't need one.
The sun shirts, though.
Yeah.
I love sun shirts.
Maybe for Alaska next year. If you could work that out by like May.
Are you guys gonna be there? Are both of you gonna be there February 21st to the 23rd?
Absolutely.
I don't know yet.
So
I'm still waiting to hear back from a job.
because
that
I'm
could
trying to
start
set up
Jan.
that trip, like a 3-day. I'm setting up a 3-day humpback.
How about
I'll
this?
be
If
there.
you're there, then yes.
All right, you're gonna book my trip.
And the whales will still be there when you get there.
Oh yeah, they'll be just getting in the middle of the season, right? Like
yeah.
just peak
February's like
almost.
the peak.
They're
right?
already there right
They
now,
are
though,
already
which
there.
is crazy. There's a video off Kona of a calf breaching for like 30 minutes straight.
Yay.
Nice.
Oh, I'm so
Crazy.
excited.
Should we go right now?
I'm leaving
Should
on
I
the
go early?
28th.
I'll go. What's your date? The 28th.
I leave the 28th.
I'm leaving on the 2nd.
Can I stay with you?
Yeah, Halloween in Lahaina is the place to be. They call it the Mardi Gras of the Pacific.
No way.
Yeah, they
Man, I'm
shut
bummed I'm
down
missing
all
it.
of the streets, and it's just a huge
Well,
street party.
we wondered what it was going to be like for Halloween, but I'm going to be at home.
Absolutely crazy. It's so much fun. That's why I'm going on the 28th.
Oh, man. Now I know for next year.
Margot, we're going to Hawaii. All right, back to the whales, you nerds.
You turkey?
So, okay, so you're doing the follow the workaround deal, Taylor. So what do you like? What are your takeaways from it? Is it hard? Is it easy? Is it definitely a lifestyle you have to give up a lot of things for?
Yeah, I guess it just depends on the lifestyle, like you said.
Yeah.
I personally love being able to travel to different places,
Yeah.
see new things. I also love the unpredictability of every single day. You literally never know what's going to happen ever. I'm also super passionate, so being able to share that passion with other people and educate people from Oklahoma or something who don't have an ocean.
Totally.
I always say that I'm a little biased, I guess, just because growing up in Southern California, growing up in Los Angeles, the backyard was the ocean for me, so people don't always understand how important it is to protect it. So being able to share that information on protecting the ocean and how that leads up to the animals that we love. So
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to think how can you want to protect something when you're literally 7,000 miles, 6
Right. No,
or
it's definitely
2,000
hard.
miles
Yeah.
away from it.
I mean, isn't that's the quote? You protect what you love, and you don't
Exactly.
love something unless you know about it.
yeah.
Yeah. So,
But they probably want to protect the lake near their house. You know what I
Totally.
mean?
Yeah, exactly.
But it's all interconnected, and I think that's
Yeah.
the important
Yeah,
part. Is
making the connection,
You
for sure.
throw a piece of trash out your window in Oklahoma, it's going to end up in a river that's going to then end up in the ocean. So it is all connected, and being able to share that information and educating is what I love the
Totally.
most about it.
So would you just do Alaska and San Juan's forever? Or
I would
what?
love to do Alaska. I've
He hasn't
never
done
been.
Alaska.
Oh, I mean San Juan's in Hawaii forever, or would you want to do
Yeah.
Alaska?
I want to do.
Whoa,
I want to do
whoa.
Alaska.
She's trying to skip you out on Antarctica, dude.
Yeah. So my problem is I don't winter very well. So Hawaii in winter and San Juan's in summer works really well for
Oh,
my
you're
lifestyle.
afraid of the
Yeah.
cold?
Not afraid. I lived
Afraid
in
of it?
no. I lived in Montana playing hockey for a year, so
Oh,
I
yeah.
never need to see negative 40 degrees ever again in my life.
Really? I
Yeah.
really like cold
So,
weather.
but for now, you're okay with bouncing
I'm good.
around,
I'm
following
good.
the whales,
Yeah.
following. Yeah. All right.
It's hard not to, right? I mean, you guys do this too, so you
Well,
understand.
we have
You
whales-
understand the addiction.
We have whales all year, so that's you know
Yeah.
like we can put down roots if we want to.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
here I am ripping them up. Let's go.
What if you could follow one humpback? Like, say you could pick Caspian and follow all the way from here to Mexico, or is that a Hawaiian, right? It's a Hawaiian whale?
Caspian?
Yeah.
I think that's a Mexico whale.
Oh, okay. So say you could follow it to Mexico. Would you do it like a full migration? How sick would that be? Like
That's the
Let's
dream,
go follow
right?
Fran. Let's go work in Guerrero.
like she goes out behind, Santa Barbara Island, or like weaves in between the island. You don't know what she does.
Isn't
She does
that
what
the
she
dream
wants.
of all humpback researchers is to know what happens? Because
Yes.
you see them in point A and you see them in point B.
Yeah.
but what
How
the
do they
heck
get
happens
there?
in
Yeah.
between? Yeah.
I want to follow Gato Bracho.
And some go way offshore. Some go way off.
Way offshore.
Yeah.
And so, like
I've seen humpbacks 350 miles out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really far.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, what are you doing out there?
Like there actually are more coastal than you think, huh? Like you would think, like when
Well,
people think of
yours
whales,
are that are going from Monterey down, but what
Yeah.
about like the Gulf going straight down to Hawaii? I mean, we're talking like tens of
the
thousands
whales-
of feet of water
yeah,
that
and the
whole
whales-
time.
I guess from San Juan Island to Hawaii is very straight across
Yeah.
too. It's diagonal,
Well, somehow they've teased out that sometimes the Hawaii whales make like this 45-degree angle towards California and then go back out
yeah.
again towards Alaska. Because we saw whales over 300 miles from shore, and we saw a mom and calf more than 200 miles from shore on
And
a
we've
survey I did.
a tiny bit of Hawaiian whales show up here too.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's like,
I
did the
think
whales I
literally
see,
one.
were they Mexican
Yeah.
whales or were they Hawaiian whales? I don't know.
Well, you would think like it would make sense if you're a humpback to migrate down the coast because
Yeah.
especially along to Monterey, there's food. There's
Up
food
welling.
to Santa
Yeah.
Barbara, and then cut.
They
and
could
go
eat all the
west.
way, and then
yeah,
go.
you
Yeah.
could put up a little more weight, so you would think that makes sense, but who knows?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the white sharks go halfway to Hawaii and then go to Mexico, so there's definitely food way the frick out there too. So they obviously know things we don't.
Yeah.
Elephant seals.
Same thing.
Elephant seals another good example.
Yeah.
They go 3,000 miles,
Yeah,
just like
in the middle of
slightly
nowhere.
north and
Yep.
mostly west
West.
from here. Like
Yep.
what?
Yeah,
dude. But following a gray whale from the Bering Sea all the way down to Baja,
That would be rad.
that'd be cool.
like you could follow. It wouldn't be hard.
Gray
to-
whales are usually within 20 miles of land.
The only thing
Yeah.
is bad weather. If it was
Yeah.
like if you could get good weather the entire trip, like you could find it the next day possibly. Like they're
Yeah.
not going that fast.
I want to do
Yeah.
a Western Pacific gray
That
whale,
would be
then
gnarly.
cross over, then down
Russia
That'd be
all
cool.
the way to
Yeah.
Mexico.
Yeah,
Favara
like the
style.
humpbacks from Norway that go all the way to the Dominican.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's another really
Yep.
far one that would be cool.
Or like they've seen humpbacks like way up in the North Atlantic so far that like it would be faster if they could cross over the ice cap and go to Hawaii. They're like
The Northwest
it would be
Passage and just-
less mileage if they could go through the Northwest
That's
Passage and go to
crazy.
Hawaii.
What was that? Is it a humpback?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember you saying that.
Like in Franz Josef Land or something. Like it was crazy. They were like, and it went to the Dominican. Like it should have just gone to Hawaii.
Yeah.
Do they think that humpback? I mean, they think that gray whales are going to eventually start going all the way around again.
Potentially, if the ice continues to recede, I mean, they wander.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, they're all the way
they've
in-
been seen in the Atlantic, and they used to exist in the Atlantic.
Yeah.
There used to be a population there.
Yeah, last
Can
few
you
times in
imagine, like,
Namibia.
20 years, like
Israel,
6 of them
right?
go that way.
That'd be crazy.
And then and then doubles in a few years after that.
Who knows? With weird warm water events and lack of ice that we've been having the last few years, anything could happen.
Literally anything could happen.
Well, the gray whale sightings, the last few in the Atlantic was Namibia. Or
And then inside
Israel,
the Mediterranean.
Israel,
Yeah.
and then I want to say there was Spain, was it? Somewhere?
Yeah, inside the Mediterranean,
Yeah.
they saw it.
Did
Yeah.
you guys watch the Nautilus live cam?
Yes.
so cool.
Awesome.
So
The
cool.
whale fall was awesome.
Dude.
It looks like a juvenile gray whale to me.
Wait, they watched
Yeah.
it from the start fall? Or
No.
No. When it's in deeper than how many meters of water, it's considered a whale fall.
Yeah, well, it's a Davidson seamount, so it's pretty deep. People are pretty fascinated by it because I guess it's more widespread. But Nautilus has found numerous ones, but this one just had so much life on it.
So
Yeah.
much life. Octopuses.
I think
Chimeras,
yeah, you gotta think.
worms, all kinds
With
of
social
crazy
media,
stuff.
it got
Hagfish.
further this time.
Yeah, and Nautilus is a great ship. A lot of us who work in the field have. What's neat is they have a satellite on there. They can link up with classrooms, aquariums, and actually let kids like ask the crew
Is
questions.
that how they're getting straight up freaking
Yeah, that's how I know about
Weren't they
them.
running like Facebook Live while they were
Yeah,
on?
they
can do that too now.
YouTube Live.
Yeah,
Yeah.
YouTube
Yeah,
Live.
They
Yeah.
got
Like-
full like gamer setup in
Yep.
there, dude.
Running
Yeah.
4K.
Yeah.
It's really neat. So we used to talk to them. They actually have a control room in Rhode Island. So when you talk to them with these kids, like it shows up on the monitor, but it's like being on a talk show. They're like, "Hey guys," like I'll ask them, "Hey guys, I heard you saw a sperm whale the other day." I was like, "Oh yeah," and they'll pull up the clip, and the kids are sitting right there with you watching it. It's like being
It's
on a
Woods
talk
Hole.
show.
I mean,
It's amazing.
for some of that stuff, it's very, very well funded.
So
and
that
they've
is a
got
great
cool
way to reach out to
technology.
people, and they're literally seeing it there with them. They've discovered new species, with kids
yeah.
watching.
Yeah.
They'll literally
Yeah.
wake someone up, like they'll see a new nudibranch, and they're like, "Hey, it's call so and so." You hear someone in the background like, "Hey, sorry to wake you, but look at this. Turn on."
That's incredible.
Yeah.
I didn't even believe it when it said it was live, and I'm like, these people are talking, and this is
Yeah.
live, and it's
Yeah.
10 o'clock at my
No,
house.
it's a big event.
Yeah.
Like they scouted around, I think, for a couple days, but the whale fall, I think they stumbled onto on accident. Live.
Yeah.
Because
But
they were going to go to the octopus garden
yeah.
on purpose.
So Nautilus broadcast, and also they have a second ship, the Okeanos,
Yeah.
that does that too. And they're all available online. Yeah.
Yeah, that's super cool.
In fact, a lot of the clips have made it online. It's just finally getting out there. There's one where one of their ROVs is out and a sperm whale just comes up and like
That's
looks
the
at it
funniest
and takes
thing.
off.
That's absolutely. I love
Yeah.
it.
The guys are like,
Yeah.
they're like, what is this? Like,
That was either the Nautilus or the Okeanos also. Yeah.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah, it sounds like they're having a podcast down there, and they're
Yeah.
like watching it live though. It's so cool.
Yeah.
Come on, that is some experience right
Yeah.
Yeah. How do we sign up for that?
Yeah. Anyone hiring over
there.
there?
Hey, how do we build our
Hey,
own?
Noah.
I'm
you need-
6'5". I'll fit in that sub.
I'm 5'3". I'll fit.
Okay, so Taylor, you showed me an article today on a hybrid between a coho and
Chinook salmon that they're finding up in the Pacific Northwest.
Really?
Are
Yeah.
they hatchery fish or are they wild fish?
Wild fish.
No way.
Yeah. Yeah,
Interesting.
the article I was reading didn't go too far in depth other than that there's genetics from both coho and Chinook. So I'm really interested to see what findings come out here in the next couple.
How big was it? I wonder if it's going to have
It was
Chinook
juvenile.
size.
It was juvenile, so it was only about the size of a pond.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So what happens when they go to spawn is a whole different question.
If it's a
Is
viable,
it just like,
Yeah.
there's nothing else here, so there's the only
Yeah.
option? So
Do you remember who did it? I know Oregon State does a lot of salmon genetic stuff.
I don't remember.
Their
off the
habits.
top of
I
my
mean, there's
head
lots of
who it
people
was.
that study salmon
Yeah.
up there. It's a hot topic.
Their
up there.
their lifestyles, I should say, is a little bit different. Coho tends to be, at least here, upper water.
Yeah.
Chinook's deeper. Chinooks get big.
As far as foraging at sea, you mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
coho
And
forage
Chinook
shallower.
is, if you don't know, AKA king salmon. Yeah.
But
They
what
get
about
big?
spawning habitat?
Huge.
Do they spawn
the
in the same
residents
area?
eat
Yeah.
big ones.
So it could happen. I mean, why
Yeah.
not? They're not that far off genetically, right?
Well, yeah, it's
Like-
not shocking, but it's kind of like now relating it back to the southern residents who only eat Chinook. Or
Well, maybe
mostly
they would eat
Chinook.
these coho
yeah.
hybrids,
That's
I
the
would
thing.
hope,
Would
like-
they? Or
Would they though?
Or is it a sign of, there's such depleted Chinook stocks that they're crossing with coho?
I'm
because
surprised
there's
it doesn't
just low
happen more often
spawning.
because how they breed is males drop eggs, female,
yeah.
female drops eggs, male just boom, sperm
Yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah.
It's just
So I'm
like
surprised
free-
that we haven't caught it earlier.
And that's why it's not
Almost
shocking
free
to me, just
Yeah,
because
exactly.
it's like, okay,
Yeah.
don't have
Yeah.
many options, so you're dropping eggs.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna
So
come
that's why I'm like,
fertilize
now we're
regardless.
catching this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they probably don't even notice. They just
Well,
do
I
it.
mean, the amount of technology improvements that have happened even in the last 2 years with DNA testing is incredible.
Oh,
I mean,
absolutely.
Yeah.
now you can take a sample of water and
Oh, yeah.
see what the heck is in it.
Exactly.
I mean, you don't even need a piece of the fish anymore. It's really cool.
Yup.
So,
That's awesome.
well, time will tell, I guess, huh?
Yep.
Interesting stuff.
Well, Taylor, thanks for coming and joining
Yeah.
us on the podcast.
I'm glad we got you on here.
Yeah, me too. Finally.
We'll have to. Every time I go to San Juan Islands, now it's like a joke that we're supposed to be starting one. I'm supposed to be doing one with them up there, and they we never get the equipment.
Only
Hey,
if
like we
Lacey's
talked
here.
about earlier, we live on an island up there too. Island time is a real thing.
Oh, for sure. I know that's a fact.
So, but thanks for joining us on the podcast, Lacey.
Way to end it.
She has to contribute. Come on, she didn't squeak enough this episode.
Yeah, would it be a podcast if Lacey wasn't in it?
You guys can follow him on Instagram. It's T Spesak, but it's SPESAK. TSPESAK.
Yeah.
Yeah, so make sure to follow him. He literally pisses me off because he just posted a photo today.
It's only decent photos.
Yeah, it's decent.
But
I
they're
mean,
like major time lag too. So
it's-
Slater's like, when did this happen?
it's like, oh, just a transient killer whale 15 feet out of the water with a harbor porpoise on his head. Like,
I like your caption too.
Like 3
this
weeks
is the
ago.
best harbor porpoise photo ever gotten.
Tell me it wasn't though.
Ignore the orca that punted it out of the
I
water.
just got photobombed by T-137. She's a good mom.
if I think hopefully we'll try to get you when you get back, both of you guys, when you get back from Hawaii. Well, you'll probably be back sooner.
Yeah, I don't know yet.
Yeah, and then
Am I
Shoot,
coming
just do
back?
just
I don't
do
know.
just do the podcast in Hawaii.
Yeah, we're gonna. Have
Yeah,
to
why can't we
podcast
just go
from Hawaii.
50-50?
well, I want to. Yeah, I guess we could do that. But I was gonna say, yeah, I guess we'll do it while you're there. Duh.
Yeah,
Duh.
we'll figure it out.
Make it work. Technology is
Sweet.
pretty
Technology
crazy.
exists.
Yeah, thanks for listening, you guys. Make sure you follow us on Whalenerds. I think if you'll let us, we'll use one of your photos for the
Yeah, absolutely.
for the
And we'll
post.
tag you so you'll be able to connect with
Yeah.
Taylor there.
Yep.
And if you don't subscribe to us on Patreon, we appreciate your support and thank you for the people that do.
Yeah, we saved up. We can get one microphone now. So
Yeah, which is good because
we
need
have
one.
4.
That was a broken cord.
We have a broken cord.
Yeah, but I mean, don't feel obligated or anything. But we have Eric has the nicest one because he went all fancy on us in the
Yeah, you
beginning.
did.
Have a
We got
quality
these little
voice.
Snow globe ones.
It's that radio voice.
Yeah.
But thanks for listening. We truly appreciate it. I can't believe how many views we're up to on all the different platforms.
Yeah. It's really cool to know you guys are out there listening.
Have a great day.
Thank you.
Or night.
Bye, everyone.
Whatever. Have them all.